Evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody. I don't know if you can hear me. If you can, go ahead and just leave a comment there. Uh, I actually let a few people get in here first. Okay. Hello, everybody. And kind of doing sort of a repeat from the other night. Basically just showing some my photographs that I've taken and kind of discussing a little bit of the background about them and also answering any questions that you have as well. And anyways, if you have any questions or comments or anything, just leave that in the chat and we'll get to those right away. Anyways, I'll start off actually with this first picture is from Haha State Park, just in Lake of the Ozarks in Missouri. And but anyways, is a state park. This is actually the ruins of a mansion that used to be there, and that actually caught on fire in the 1940s. And but the ruins are still there, and there's also a lot of other trails and that. This was a fall day several years ago, actually, that I took this, and it was early in the morning too, as well. But that's the first image there. And the next image is of a tree at Wilson's Creek National Battlefield in Springfield, Missouri. This photo was actually taken by it's called infrared. Basically, with the infrared, it allows you to just capture the infrared wavelengths, and it's up producing a different type of black and white image instead, where you have basically the foliage is white instead of what you would see in a normal black and white photograph. Again, this was taken a few years ago, and the way I actually photograph infrared is I actually have an infrared filter, and that actually goes on the front end of the lens and blocks out all but infrared light. And then the next image is Waterfall from Devil's Den State Park in Arkansas. This was actually a spring a few years ago. Uh, basically Devil's Den. They actually have several features that were actually built. Um, that was built by the Civilian Conservation Corps, and there's a lot of also trails on that. Really neat place to see, especially in the fall as well. And this is also at Devil's Den. This is basically a kind of like a cabin, um, and you can see this was in the springtime, and you can see the flower tree in the foreground there. And then the next is Liberty Memorial in Kansas City, Missouri. It's also part of the National War One Museum, and it was actually completed in the 1920s. You can actually go up to the top. They have an observation deck up there, and and then you also have the museum down below that's actually below ground. And this is Kansas City, or a picture of the skyline of Kansas City. This was actually also taken from the Liberty Memorial, not actually up to the very top, but down below. But And then here's a picture of an armadillo, and they're starting to become more and more common in Missouri. Um, they're coming more from the southern part of the U.S., and they're actually, you can see them more and more often. This was actually one of the parks in the western part of Missouri, and there was actually not only this one, but there was actually a multiple um, armadillos that they actually. And then this is of course, white-tailed deer from Springfield Conservation Center in Springfield, Missouri, and it's a conservation center that you can see a lot of wildlife, a lot of trails. Wildlife is actually um, pretty used to humans, and so you can actually see a lot of them there, a lot of the wildlife there. And then this is actually another infrared photograph. Um, this is actually Prairie State Park in Liberal, Missouri. This is basically kind of the southwestern part of Missouri. Um, this is actually a bridge over a creek, and Prairie State Park is known for having a lot of prairie. You can actually see bison and that, deer as well, and a lot of different birds in that too as well. And then this is a elk at Lone Elk Park, just outside St. Louis. It's a male. This was in fall. Earlier in that day, I actually got to hear elk calling earlier, and but this one was actually just kind of resting underneath a tree, and um, and then the next picture is from the old courthouse in St. Louis, Missouri. This was actually taken in September of a few years ago, and you can see it was decorated for basically Labor Day, and you can see the flags and everything, and it's very impressive courthouse. Really neat to see. This part was actually the rotunda, where you can actually look up and see towards the top of the dome. And then this is Tanya Creek in Bella Vista, Arkansas, which is the northwestern part of Arkansas, just on the other side of the border from Missouri. This is actually just a little waterfall, and then there's actually some kind of like not necessarily like rapids, but it's some rushing water down below as well. This was early in the morning, and you can actually see the sun rays coming through. And then the next picture is a picture of fireworks from over Grand Lake in Oklahoma. You can actually see the reflection, and this one thing nice was I didn't get too much smoke that day, so I was able to get some pretty good, pretty decent pictures. And then this is Sandy Creek covered bridge, just outside St. Louis and Hillsboro. It's one of only 4 remaining covered bridges, old-fashioned covered bridges. There's actually 3 others. This is now just basically a pedestrian bridge, but you can only just walk across it. But they have a little park and picnic area and that. And then this is a picture of Skyline Branson, and you can actually see Lake Tantacoma in the foreground there, and then in the background you can see one of the hotels, and then you can also see the Branson Bell on Table Rock Lake, which is kind of above the rest of the scenery here. This was taken in the fall several years ago from one of the lookouts there. And then this is Great Smoky Mountains National Park, basically in eastern part of Tennessee. And then you can actually see the creek, and you can see the smokiness. This was actually in 2016, just a couple days before the wildfires came through, and so you can see the smoke already coming from wildfires that were nearby in that. And this is Gatlinburg from one of the lookouts. You can see the Gatlinburg down below, surrounded by the Smoky Mountains, and you can see the fall foliage and this is also another picture from Great Smoky Mountains National Park as well. And you can see the mountains in the background, the sun in the top portion of the picture. This is a panoramic picture, much like the previous one as well. Both of them where I took several pictures and basically stitched them together to create this one panoramic picture. And this is a picture of a magnolia, flower from the magnolia tree, of course, in the springtime. And this is basically a close up of one of the blooms or one of the flowers. The flowers, they get pretty good size, and so. And this is Carlsbad Caverns in New Mexico, Carlsbad Caverns National Park. You can actually see the formations. It's a very impressive cave. You can actually go down there, walk around, and spend the day. You can actually, they have a lunch room down there too as well. So. And this is also from New Mexico here as well. This is actually White Sands National Park. You can see the mountains in the background, and I have the wood kind of almost framing the mountains in the background there. And then this is a Perfunian Warbler. I'm probably mispronouncing that name there, but it's a little bird. You see them in the summer times in some places here in Missouri. They're kind of about the size of a finch, but really bright yellow, especially when you get them in or when you see them in the sun. It's almost like a glow in the dark, almost, just about. And if you have any questions, just let me know in the comments section. And this next picture is of Watkins Woolen Mill and State Park up near Kansas City, Missouri. There was actually a movie was actually made there called Ride with the Devil, Civil War movie, and this is actually where I photographed the solar eclipse in 2017. They have different buildings there, also visitor center and everything as well. And this was kind of an overcast, cloudy day, and you can actually can see the cloud coverage there. And then this is a green heron. That was actually at King Jack Park in Webb City, Missouri, just north of Joplin. The green heron's basically a small wading bird. They'll actually walk along the shore and then actually catch fish and frogs and stuff like that. And they usually actually migrate, so they're actually only here during the summertime. This is actually a follow-up picture where he's actually diving for the fish or trying to grab the fish. And then this is fireworks at Missouri Southern in Joplin, 4th of July. Again, luckily didn't get too much smoke that day. and so I was able to get this picture. And then the next two pictures are from Onondaga State Cave State Park in Missouri, in the central part of Missouri. This is actually one of the rooms in the cave. I actually have some video on my YouTube account from the cave where you can actually hear the sounds of the cave. You can actually hear the water dripping down. And this is another picture kind of near more towards the entrance part. And then this is a Pedestal Rock scenic area in Arkansas. In the fall, you can see the foliage was turning there. And this is another panoramic image I took. And this is the courthouse in Carthage, Missouri for Jasper County. This was at Christmas time. You can see the lights hung up there. And then this is from Wildcat Glades in Joplin, Missouri. And it's basically a kind of area near the visitor center, but off a little bit, so it's not too many people see that actually too much. But just a little stone um, archway. And this is eastern chipmunk in the backyard, just looking for food. And you can see actually where he has this one pouch already filled there. And this is a southern flying squirrel. I actually took residence in a birdhouse and was just kind of looking out. Southern flying squirrels are actually a nocturnal species, so you don't really get to see them too much. But they are around, and they're about the size of a chipmunk, and they actually have like a membrane that allows them to like glide from tree to tree. And this is a pileated woodpecker. And they're one of the largest woodpeckers in North America. They actually they're actually quite large actually. They also make a very distinct call too as well, very unmistakable. And this is a cabin at George Washington Carver National Monument in Diamond, Missouri, in the Southwest. And This is basically a replica cabin. This is actually a statue of George Washington Carver. Um, Again, this is another infrared photograph I took. And we have a swallowtail butterfly with lilac, and of course in the springtime. And butterflies are kind of tough to photograph. They don't really stay in one spot, so um, very tough to photograph. And then this Grand Falls Waterfall here in Joplin, Missouri. This was at sunset. Um, it's the largest continuous waterfall in Missouri, and certainly a major attraction here in Joplin. And then we got Mercy Park here at sunset. This is actually where the old Mercy Hospital or St. John's Hospital was. Um, that was destroyed in the tornado in 2011. And this is the panoramic of Wilson's Creek, um, one of the fields. And another panoramic, this time of Wildcat Glades in the fall. And along, you can see the Shoal Creek there. And we got Missouri's state bird, the eastern bluebird. And were a long time pretty rare, but luckily they're starting to come back. And then we also have the Rainbow Bridge in southeastern Kansas, along Route 66. And then we have a Baltimore Oriole, male Baltimore Oriole. It's amazing the colors on them, how orange they get actually. And but usually we'll see them in the summer times. A lot of times they'll come through in the spring. You'll see them in the backyards, at the hummingbird feeders. They also like to eat grape jelly too as well. And then we have a gray catbird, another bird that kind of migrates through, and they got their name from sounding like a cat meowing, and they really do sound like that. So you can see why they got their name. And then we have a summer tanager. This is actually a male in the backyard. Another bird that also migrates, and we see in the summertime. And then we also have Grand Falls again. This one was early in the morning actually. And this is actually a young alligator snapping turtle. Was only probably about 2 or 3 inches, just about, and was actually in the road, but we kind of scared it off to get in the grass, get out of the way. But that was also at Wildcat Glades as well. And these next two pictures are from Kellogg Lake in Carthage, Missouri. And this is a great blue heron, another wading bird, larger one. They actually stay in Missouri all year round, and they eat a lot of like fish and frogs and stuff like that. Very common sight to see along the different waterways and that. And then we have a baby duck, also at Kellogg Lake as well. And then we have a common muskrat, George Washington Carver National Monument. One of the ponds is kind of eating on some different grasses and that. And then we have a ruby-throated hummingbird, just in the backyard. Yeah, the feeder. And then we also have a red-tailed hawk, and this was actually at Springfield Conservation Center. He was in a tree. Just happened to look up and see him in the tree. He was just kind of sitting there on a branch. Blended in very easily, but luckily I was able to see him. And this is a tavern, at Pea Ridge National Battlefield in Pea Ridge, Arkansas, northwest Arkansas. This is actually a recreation of the tavern that was there during the battle. This was about around sunset. And this is a osprey from southeastern Kansas, and you can actually see the talons in the picture there, that they use to catch fish and that. Saw a fly overhead, and he just landed in the tree and just sat there. And this another picture from fireworks at Missouri Southern. You can actually see the buildings, the trees there in the foreground, and this, of course, was 4th of July. And then this is Reddings Mill Bridge in Joplin, an old bridge that was used for car traffic. Now is just for pedestrian traffic. It's part of the Wildcat Glades trails, and this was just recently, actually, just a few weeks ago. And then the final picture here is Waterfall frozen over in the winter time in the Maryland Heights, just outside of St. Louis, or in St. Louis County, actually. And this was many years ago. I took this and converted it to a black and white image. anyways, that's my images that I'm sharing for this evening. Um, if you have any questions or anything, just let me know in the comments here or send me a message. I'm actually running a sale until the end of tomorrow, end of Cyber Monday. If you use promo code, um, actually, let me pull it up here. If you use promo code BFCM2021 at checkout, you'll actually get 30% off any prints, wall art. That only applies to prints and wall art only. You can purchase naughty prints, canvas, also metal prints, acrylic, and even glass prints too as well. Plus also to have links where you can purchase merchandise and mugs and things like that. Um, do you have any questions or any comments or anything? Well, if you do, just let me know, and I appreciate you stopping by, and have a good night.